Welcome to Dave's Take. Today we're talking about From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. Yes, that's the title of the movie, and it's fucking stupid. So Ballerina is a spin-off film in the John Wick universe. This time it's about a woman named Eve, played by Ana de Armas. I love the John Wick franchise. I just think John Wick is just a fucking awesome character. And the franchise just has this style of action to it, from the hand-to-hand fighting, everything in camera, the real effects. It's all masterclass stunts. It's amazing. So whenever they're making a spin-off with not the same director as the other John Wick films, I sort of lost interest. I watched a little bit of that series that was on some streaming platform. I don't even know what it was. And I was unimpressed because the whole point of John Wick is the action. If you don't have the person who helmed that type of action making these movies, I personally don't really see the point of them. And don't get me wrong, I love the world of John Wick, I love the lore, I love all that stuff, but I guess I don't love it enough if we don't have that same team making these films. So I sort of had mild expectations for Ballerina, and I'm happy to say I was surprised by this film. It was a lot of fun. This feels like a John Wick film. And I think if you're a fan of this franchise, you're going to have a great time. But seriously, I was watching this film being shocked of how much it felt like a John Wick film. I did a little bit of research. So Len Wiseman is credited as the director for Ballerina. He directed the Underworld movies, that Total Recall remake. Not really a fan of those movies, I'll be completely honest. And I read somewhere he had a cut of Ballerina that didn't do well for test audiences, and the studio really hated it. So essentially they reshot a lot of this movie. I'm reading like almost all of it, and they had him technically still directing it, but then they had Chad Stahelski, I think I'm saying his name right, I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. He directed the first 4 John Wick movies, overlooking his shoulder and kind of giving guidance, but eventually got to the point where I think he ended up just directing this movie, but he's not going to get credit for it. And if you go into this movie with that mindset, it makes total sense, because like I said, this looks and feels like a John Wick movie. So yes, you're going to get that incredible action, everything in camera, great editing, great stunt work. I mean, the stunt work here is amazing. There's a sequence where they use a lot of fire, and it was just blowing my mind, some of the things that they were pulling off. And there's some fucking awesome kills in here. Kills that made my jaw drop, made me laugh out loud. It was so much fun. And on top of that, the cinematography looks great. Like I've been saying, feels like a John Wick movie. It's not as great as per se like John Wick 4, where like everything looks like a fucking painting. But there's some good lighting, some good colors. There's some really great shots in here. And Ana de Armas is great here. You can tell that she's put in a lot of physical effort into this movie. And you really need to do that when you're playing in a movie that's in the John Wick universe, and she really pulls it off. She does a great job. And for the most part, I like how they kept the story simple, which is perfect for this franchise. That's why this franchise really works when it comes to the story. It's very simple. And there's something they do here that I won't spoil. I'm not sure if it's in the trailer or not, but it surprised me. It had to do with like expanding the lore and the world of John Wick. And there's this village they go to that the concept alone is brilliant, and it's so funny, and I thought how they pull that off was just a lot of fun to watch. And that's another thing. I've been saying I really love the world of John Wick, and this film does appreciate that world. It does it justice, and like I said, it expands on it, and I thought they did a good job with that too. And I can't lie, I always get excited when I see Keanu Reeves back as John Wick. I love John Wick as a character. Keanu Reeves is perfect as John Wick, and I think it's my favorite Keanu Reeves character. But this movie has some issues. You can definitely tell that there's certain things that's holding the movie back when it comes to the directing and all that. So everything I sort of explained earlier, that makes a little bit of sense. Also, the story, there's a few elements they add that I feel like they did not need to add, because they almost forget about those elements, specifically with one character. And it almost became a distraction to this very simple story about revenge. I get that there's some parallels, and I do like the character development we have with Ana de Armas' character, but there are a few things that I feel like almost felt like a distraction, like I was saying. And I will say I like a good setup, and there are parts of the setup here that I think are effective, but I'm not gonna lie, there are points towards the first act of the movie, I'm like, okay, let's get this shit going a little bit. And also when it comes to like the timeline of the John Wick universe, I read where this takes place, which is between chapters 3 and 4, and I might need to rewatch those movies, but I feel like some things don't add up, I will say. So that could be an issue, but like I said, I haven't seen the movies in a while, so it could not be an issue. I'm just an idiot. And that kind of goes into my next point. If those things don't really add up, I will say sometimes certain things feel a little shoehorned into this story. So yeah, I would be 100% down to see a sequel with this character. I think we just need to get the original director back, because if you don't have him, then we don't really get a John Wick movie. So to wrap this all up, Ballerina feels like a John Wick movie, which I feel like is important. It fits well with this world, expands on the lore, and if you're a huge fan of the John Wick franchise, I think you're going to have a great time. I'm going to give From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, 7 Davey Daves. That is a mouthful to say. Just call it Ballerina. I know you have to have John Wick in the title or no one's going to go see the movie, but the thing is, like, if you market it as Ballerina and it's part of the John Wick universe, you could call it Ballerina and still put John Wick shit everywhere. I get why they do it, but it just, it just frustrates the hell out of me. So, Ballerina, let me know what you guys thought of it once you've seen it. I'm curious to hear, and thank you so much for watching. Click here to see more of Dave Takes.